Right now, a single commercial nuclear reactor generates $2.4 million in electricity every 24 hours. But if a single temperature sensor dips by half a degree, the entire $10 billion facility instantly scrams, burning $1 million per day in forced downtime. Welcome to the most high-stakes, capital-intensive physical monopoly on planet Earth, the business of running a commercial nuclear power plant. Most people picture nuclear energy as an unpredictable science experiment managed by Homer Simpson figures in a control room. In reality, it is a high-yield financial machine operating at the extreme bleeding edge of thermodynamics and federal law. A single nuclear power station produces more continuous energy than 10,000 wind turbines or 3 million solar panels combined. Yet a single operational mistake or regulatory fine can erase 20 years of corporate profit in 24 hours. To understand where the billions come from, you first have to look at the physics inside the containment dome. Unlike coal or natural gas plants that constantly burn fossil fuels, a nuclear reactor relies on controlled atomic fission of uranium-235 isotopes. A single ceramic uranium fuel pellet, smaller than the tip of your pinky finger, holds an insane density of energy. One single pellet contains the energy equivalent of 1 ton of coal, 149 gallons of crude oil, or 17,000 cubic feet of natural gas. These tiny ceramic pellets are stacked into 20-foot-long fuel rods made of corrosion-resistant zirconium alloy. Hundreds of fuel rods are bundled together into massive square fuel assemblies and submerged inside a heavy steel pressure vessel. When free neutrons collide with uranium nuclei, they split the atoms apart in a continuous chain reaction. This reaction generates intense kinetic and thermal energy, heating primary coolant water to over 600 degrees Fahrenheit. To prevent this water from flash boiling into steam inside the reactor core, massive coolant pumps maintain water pressure at 2,200 pounds per square inch. In a pressurized water reactor, this superheated primary water loops into a steam generator, boiling a separate secondary water loop into high-pressure steam without transferring radioactive isotopes. That secondary steam rushes down heavy steel pipes to spin a massive 1,500 revolutions per minute steam turbine rotor. The turbine turns an electrical generator, churning out over 1,000 megawatts of continuous baseload electricity into the power grid. The spent steam is then condensed back into liquid water by massive hyperboloid cooling towers, releasing nothing into the sky except pure white water vapor. From an operational budget perspective, nuclear fuel is absurdly cheap compared to fossil fuels. Uranium ore accounts for less than 5% of a nuclear plant's total annual operating budget. Refining and enriching uranium into reactor-grade fuel costs roughly $40 million per core reload. That single reload keeps the plant running continuously for 18 to 24 months straight without stopping. Once a nuclear reactor reaches steady-state operation, it boasts an incredible 92% capacity factor. It operates at peak capacity 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless of weather, wind, rain, or grid volatility. No other energy technology on planet Earth can match that level of uninterrupted baseload reliability. The nuclear plant simply sits on the grid, printing $2.4 million of clean electricity every single day. So why isn't every utility company rushing out to build nuclear reactors? Because the upfront financial barriers to entry are an absolute corporate nightmare. Building a single modern 2-unit nuclear station like Georgia's Plant Vogtle costs over $34 billion. It requires 15 years of brutal regulatory warfare and engineering delays before generating a single kilowatt of power. Before a spade of dirt is moved on site, utility companies spend hundreds of millions submitting over 10,000 pages of safety analysis to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Every weld, pipe, and digital control valve must be certified to withstand violent earthquake shocks, direct jet airliner crashes, and Category 5 hurricanes. Carrying $10 billion in construction debt for 15 years without earning revenue creates massive interest payments. Interest accrued during construction alone can add $5 billion to the project total, bankrupting developers. For the utility corporations that survive the construction gauntlet, the payoff is a bulletproof regional monopoly. Nuclear plants sell electricity through long-term power purchase agreements or directly into wholesale spot markets, locking in multi-decade cash flows. However, the real operational profit trap lies in the mandatory 18-month refueling outage cycle. Every 18 to 24 months, a nuclear plant must shut down its reactor core to replace 1/3 of its depleted fuel assemblies. During this high-stakes 30-day refueling window, over 1,500 specialized nuclear contractors flood the facility to inspect steam generator tubes, overhaul turbine blades, and test emergency backup systems. Every single day, the reactor sits idle, costs the operating company over $1 million in lost electricity sales, plus $500,000 per day in specialized contractor wages. If an inspection crew discovers a microscopic stress crack in a reactor vessel nozzle, a 30-day outage stretches into 6 months, wiping out $200 million in annual operating profit instantly. Then comes the dark economic game theory of nuclear waste and long-term decommissioning. Because the federal government failed to open a permanent geological repository at Yucca Mountain, nuclear operators are stranded. They are forced to store thousands of tons of highly radioactive spent fuel assemblies directly on site at their own expense. First, spent fuel sits underwater in deep, concrete-lined spent fuel pools for 5 years to cool down. Then, it is transferred into massive steel and concrete dry storage casks parked outside. Nuclear operators spend millions per year hiring private armed security forces to guard these casks 24 hours a day, suing the federal government annually to recover storage expenses. Furthermore, federal law mandates that nuclear operators set aside funds into a decommissioning trust fund. When the plant finally shuts down after 60 years, radioactive decontamination and dismantling costs over $1 billion per reactor. Yet despite these insane liabilities, a brand new gold rush is breathing new life into the nuclear industry: artificial intelligence. Tech giants like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are consuming unfathomable amounts of electricity for massive AI data center clusters. A single hyperscale AI data center campus can consume over 1,000 megawatts of electricity, the exact output of an entire commercial nuclear reactor. Because wind and solar are intermittent, big tech is signing multi-billion-dollar long-term power contracts directly with nuclear operators, buying 100% of their clean, uninterrupted baseload power. Constellation Energy recently signed a historic 20-year power deal with Microsoft to restart the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant, guaranteeing decades of record-breaking cash flow. At the same time, next-generation small modular reactors, or SMRs, promise to revolutionize nuclear CAPEX economics. SMRs are factory-built 300-megawatt reactors that can be shipped by rail and assembled on-site in 3 years. In the end, running a commercial nuclear power plant is not just about splitting uranium atoms inside a steel vessel. It is about navigating extreme capital traps, mastering regulatory moats, and controlling the most reliable energy source on Earth. Whether managing $34 billion construction debts or powering the global AI revolution, the operators who master nuclear economics hold the ultimate keys to the global energy grid.